I'm so excited for today's video because I'm finally going to be sharing with you guys how to make your own under eye gel patches. I've been wanting to do this video for so long. Hey, what's up you guys? My name is Tara and here on my channel I make skincare products. So if you want to learn how to formulate your own skincare products that are way more similar to like skincare products you buy rather than like DIY ones, even though they are DIY, but they're more like professional products. I hope you guys get what I'm saying. Then subscribe to my channel because that's what we do here on my channel. Again, like I said, we're gonna be making some under eye gel patches, so let's do it. I'm gonna make a 200-gram batch of it. This is the formula we're gonna be using. If you've never formulated skincare products and you're not familiar with the fact that formulas for skincare products are written in percents like this, and you use the formula to create your recipe. So you pick how much you want to make. In this case, we're making 200 grams, and we just figure out what's 1% of 200 grams. It's 2. And I have a whole entire video that talks about how to do this, and I have an entire series that teaches you how to formulate for a beginner. So if you want to learn more, that'll teach you it. But otherwise, you can just follow the recipe in this video and make your under eye patches. So yeah, we're making a 200-gram batch, and I'm going to be starting with phase A. And phase A includes 186 grams of distilled water. And then what I'm going to be doing is using a hot plate. So unfortunately, creating a water bath won't be able to get this water hot enough because we need to get it boiling. It needs to be 90 degrees Celsius. So you do need to make sure you have a temperature gun. That way you can monitor the temperature. I will have all the equipment and ingredients needed to make this linked down below. But yeah, you need to make sure you get this to 90 degrees Celsius and it won't get hot enough just using a water bath. So that's why you need the hot plate. Obviously you could just take a pan and boil water in the pan. And I do think that's fine if you're just doing this DIY for yourself. But if you're selling, so once we have our distilled water heated to 90 degrees Celsius, and it is really important to make sure it's hot enough. If it's not hot enough, the agar-agar powder will not dissolve and this won't work because that happened to me multiple times. I added in 2 grams of it and I do make sure I mix it in to help dissolve it as well. And you need to make sure you set a timer for 5 minutes. You need to make sure it heats up long enough. And throughout this 5 minutes, I go back periodically and mix it just to help dissolve it. So while that is heating, we can work on phase B. And phase B first includes 10 grams of glycerin, and glycerin is a humectant that will help hydrate the skin, but we're also using this to help disperse the preservative. You do want to make sure you have a preservative because where there's water, there's life. So if there's water, it can easily mold. And if you plan on using these up immediately, like you're doing this for maybe like a slumber party or just like something fun to do for yourself at night, and you're using these up immediately, you can skip the preservative. But if you're gonna store these for a while or sell them, then you need to make sure you have a preservative. And the preservative I'm gonna use is Euxyl K900. This is the only preservative that I know of that will work because it's okay to use up to 100 degrees Celsius. And since this product is gonna be heated up to 90 degrees Celsius and it's still gonna be hot when we pour it in the molds, we wanna make sure we have a preservative that can get to that temperature and still be stable. Because most preservatives don't actually like to be in a temperature above 40 degrees Celsius or like 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's why you do really wanna make sure you have a preservative that is heat safe. So go ahead and combine the 2 grams of the Euxyl K900 in with the glycerin and mix the two together and then set that to the side until you need it. So back to our phase A, this has been boiling for 5 minutes. And now that the 5 minutes is up, you can go ahead and just turn off the heat or remove it from heat. And you also want to make sure the temperature is below 100 degrees Celsius before adding in your phase B, which is the preservative and glycerin, because again, you don't want the preservative to go over 100 degrees Celsius, but most likely it won't be, but you still just want to check the temperature just in case. So go ahead and pour your phase B in the phase A and mix it. And this is now when you can start getting your molds ready. You don't need to pour this out of the beaker immediately, because it will take a bit to start thickening and gelling and solidifying because it's so hot. Also, I do recommend letting it sit for maybe like 5 to 10 minutes because it's so hot you don't want to touch the beaker unless you have like a glove that will protect your hand, but I didn't have one. But yeah, you want to make it cool down for a bit. And you can put it in the fridge. That'll help cool it a little bit faster, but make sure you go back periodically and make sure it doesn't solidify. I actually kept mine in the fridge for quite some time and forgot about it, and it still didn't solidify. Like, I noticed it was a little bit thicker than normal, but it was still fine. So don't rush pouring it into the molds. It should still stay a liquid for quite some time. You got some time. But here are the molds we're gonna be using. I bought these on Amazon. They're pretty inexpensive, but we're gonna make 100 of these for some reason. Don't know why I thought it was a good idea to make 100 of them, but I'm actually pretty glad I did because making so many of them helped me learn a lot. You do wanna make sure that you're putting the molds on some kind of tray that you can later pick up. Unless you can just leave the molds on your table, like you're not gonna be using the table at all the rest of the day, then that's fine too. But keep in mind that you do need to pick them up and move them most likely, and they're gonna be all liquidy and it'll be hard to do. So a tray's best. And another thing you can do is use a pipette. My beaker was pretty full, so it was hard to pour and fill them up without spilling everything everywhere. So I ended up using a pipette. And yes, you shouldn't use like plastic with boiling hot water, but I did let this cool down a bit. So it wasn't super, super hot. So after you have all your molds filled, you can put these in the refrigerator, but I tested a bunch of batches just at room temperature. I just let them sit out because I didn't have enough space in my fridge for all 100 of these, and they solidified just fine. So keep them at room temperature or put them in the fridge, whichever one you prefer. All right, this next batch of under eye patches we're gonna make is a soothing kind. So the first one I showed you was an extremely simplified formula of them. It's like the most basic, simple formula you can get. So this one I decided to do something a little different just to, I don't know, I guess give you guys some creative ideas that you can throw other things in this product as well. They just need to be heat safe. That's the main issue. So I didn't really have too many ingredients to work with, but I realized I can make a soothing under eye patch with some colloidal oatmeal and some allantoin. Those are both heat safe, so that's what I decided to do, and I'll show you guys how I did that. Again, we're doing a 200-gram batch, and I'm starting with 145 grams of distilled water. And I'm actually gonna let this heat up for a little bit before we add anything else, so I'm gonna set that to the side, and we're gonna work on phase B. And again, in phase B, we got glycerin, but I'm using 20 grams of glycerin this time, along with 20 grams of propanediol, which is an ingredient extremely similar to glycerin, has extremely similar benefits, helps hydrate the skin, and it also will help disperse the preservative in the formula. So mix those two together, and then I'm gonna add in the 2 grams of the Euxyl K900. Again, this is the preservative, and it's heat safe. At least up to 100 degrees Celsius, which is pretty hot. So make sure you have all those mixed together really well, set that to the side, and let's go back to phase A, which is just our distilled water. I'm taking the temperature of it, and once it's around like 100 degrees Fahrenheit, 40 degrees Celsius, you can add in the 1 gram of allantoin. This is a soothing ingredient. This is EcoCert. It's considered natural, even though it's synthetically made, but it's because it can be found in nature as well. Love this ingredient. It's one of my favorite to use. Just add that in and mix it, and the heat will help dissolve it. Without heat, you can't really get it to dissolve. And by the time that this heats up to 90 degrees Celsius, the allantoin should be melted. And once it's 90 degrees Celsius, you can add in the 2 grams of agar-agar powder. So just pour that in, mix it in, just to help disperse it a little bit. And again, you wanna set a timer for 5 minutes and let it sit for 5 minutes to dissolve. And once you come back, you can see it's boiling hot, but everything's been dissolved. And now I'm gonna add in the 10 grams of colloidal oatmeal. I wanted to add this last just to make sure I knew it was dissolved and it was none of the other ingredients that needed dissolved, because look, it never ended up dissolving. It still had a bunch of chunks in it. So I decided to use my immersion blender, which I'll link to this down below as well, just in case you need it. But I just mixed it a little bit with my immersion blender, and all the colloidal oatmeal powder just broke up. So we're good. Then once you know it's at least below 100 degrees Celsius, which it should be, it normally doesn't get that hot, you can go ahead and add in your phase B, which is the preservative and the humectants. Mix all that together really well. And again, you can just like let it cool for like 5 to 10 minutes, however long you need. And then go ahead and fill up all your molds. So it's the next day, and I just realized that when you buy under eye gel patches, they're typically soaked in some kind of serum. So I'm just gonna come up with a formula extremely quickly. I don't know how this is all gonna go. Obviously, I've made the under eye patches in the past, but I didn't think about storing them. And I've been thinking about this for a while, how to store them. And I think these 4-ounce jars will be perfect. I'll link down below to some extremely similar ones. These ones I bought so long ago, I don't remember where they're from. I'll actually have an entire category on my Amazon storefront for all the equipment you need for the specific project. But there are some ingredients like the preservative you can't find on Amazon, and I'll have a direct link to that down below, along with everything else as well. So here's the formula for the under eye gel patch soaking serum. Again, I kept it extremely simple for you guys, but have fun being more creative. If you don't know anything about writing formulas, please go watch this series right here. This series will teach you everything you need to know about formulating, basically, at least for a beginner, all the basics. Okay, for the storage serum, I'm gonna make a 200-gram batch as well. And we're gonna start with phase A. And we just need a small container to combine the 20 grams of glycerin, 2 grams of Euxyl K900, which these are both ingredients you're familiar with. We used them earlier. And just mix everything together until it's well combined. And set phase A to the side while we work on phase B. And we're gonna add in distilled water. And this is the time you'll add phase B into the phase A. And the next thing we're gonna add in is a gelling agent. I'm gonna use sodium carbomer. When you add this into water, it does immediately chunk. So for best results, you wanna mix your product while adding it in, and you wanna add in just a little bit of sodium carbomer at a time. I personally prefer using a magnetic stir. You just take a little magnetic bean, put it in your beaker. This magnetic stir is actually the same thing as a hot plate. They're 2 in 1. And you just turn it on and it'll just start spinning the bean in the beaker and it'll create a vortex. So then you can just pour the sodium carbomer into the beaker while it's mixing, and you don't have to, you know, jumble all around to do it. It works out pretty well. I do notice no matter what, I always get a little bit of clumping with sodium carbomer, but I get way less if I'm using my magnetic stir and adding it in slowly. But if you don't have a magnetic stir, it's totally fine. You can just add all the sodium carbomer in at once and then mix it and let it sit for a couple hours or overnight, and eventually all the chunks will eventually go away. Unlike xanthan gum chunks, sometimes you cannot get to go away, but most of the time with sodium carbomer, I can get all the chunks to go away. So that's why I like it. Also, xanthan gum might add like some tackiness to the skin. The sodium carbomer just feels so like lightweight and watery on the skin. After all the sodium carbomer is added in and dissolved, you should have a gorgeous thickened gel like this. Of course, you can make it thicker by adding in more sodium carbomer, or make it thinner by adding in less sodium carbomer. So now it's time to talk about how to store the under eye patches, and specifically how to store them in the storage serum we just made. Why did I make 100 of these, you ask? Overall, they turned out 75% good, maybe 80% good. I see a lot that still have air bubbles in them, and honestly, I thought the air bubbles would just pop on their own, but they never did. And it ended up creating like these holes in the under eye patches in some of them. Really see them in the soothing under eye patches. Honestly, even if they do have the holes in them, they're still usable, and it's not like I'm selling these. And if I was selling them, obviously I would have been a lot more mindful and made sure not to have bubbles. And honestly, not having bubbles would have been really preventable. But my carpal tunnel with squeezing all these, it was just, I was just trying to get it over with as fast as I could. These look so good. So honestly, you could just keep these in their little cases until they're ready to use. You could buy, I'll just put what I'm talking about up on the screen, I don't know what to call them, and slip these in there. Just buy perfect size ones that this will just go in perfectly. And then you can pour the serum that we made in the packet as well. Pour your serum over top of this. And that's actually a good way you could sell these. I've seen other brands package them that way. Another way I've seen these stored is basically stacked up into a jar, and then some kind of like liquid serum is in there that they're soaking in, and then you just pull them out as you need them. That's the way that I'm gonna store them personally, because I think it just sounds like the best way to store them. Comment down your ideas on how you would store yours. So I do recommend wearing some gloves while you're doing this, because you're gonna be touching these. And I'm thinking I'm going to just put like a couple spoonfuls of the serum on the bottom, spread it out. Honestly, I haven't even tested to see if these will fit in the jar, so let's hope. So I'm gonna go ahead and just put another scoop of the serum on top. kind of create a little bit of like a barrier, I guess, between a couple of them. I don't know. My worry with this now that I'm doing this is that they're so thin that they might, I don't know, just kind of get jumbled up in there. And as I'm doing this, I'm realizing how difficult this would probably be to sell, because you have to be so tedious getting them out so you don't rip them. So I think it would definitely be better if you're selling these to just keep them in their plastic and have the customer pull them out when they're ready to use them. But I'm gonna stick with the storage idea that I thought of. I was able to fit 21 of the under eye patches in this 4-ounce jar. So that's actually quite a bit. All right, so now it's time to figure out exactly how hard or easy is it to get the under eye patch out of this. They really just look like they're lost in there somewhere. I think if I did this again, I'd make them a color. And I also think people with nails would probably be scratching these up, but look at that. I got it out pretty easily, actually. Let's apply it. I see like a chunk of serum on it, or maybe it's a chunk from another under eye patch that broke. But yeah, I don't know, there we go. Seems promising to me. Okay, I love it. Okay, making these a color would be so much better. I wish I would have done that. Dang it. Oh, pink ones would have been so cute. Okay, let's pull out the other one. So yeah, basically this is kind of hard to pull these out without ruining it with your nails. But again, like I said, I did make these clear ones pretty thin because, you know, it's clear, so it's hard to see how much liquid I was adding into those molds. So again, just another reason why we should have used color. Honestly, pretty satisfied for like my first time making them, because the other times I was making them, I was basically just doing a trial to see if I could even get them to mold. But overall, yeah, this storage method does work, other than the fact that you can kind of break them a bit pretty easily because they're pretty thin. So let's try the other ones that are thicker, and let's try storing them in the same method. Again, I'm gonna start with just 2 scoops of our serum. So far that one was easier to pull. I did break it a little bit. These feel like a little bit different of a texture, and it's definitely from the oat powder. These ones might be easier to break. I just broke that one. Okay, yes, I still have my under eye patches on, and I really like them actually. They aren't burning my under eyes at all, which is an issue I have with under eye patches pretty often when I buy them. These Hello Kitty ones really burned my under eyes, which made me sad. Guys, look at this. This is reminding me of like fermented shark or something. Iceland is just on my brain. It looks like food. It doesn't look like something I'd put on my eyes. Like, it doesn't look, I don't think personally, like aesthetically appealing. I guess on the top, it looks better than it does from the side. But again, just another reason why they need to have color to them. This color just is not pretty. I guess when you do say oatmeal under eye patch, it does sound a bit better. So yeah, gotta figure out what I need to do for a thumbnail, because half of them are clear and these other ones do not look pretty. So might do some fake colors in my thumbnail. Let's take these guys off. I literally just pulled my hair, okay. Some serum left under my eyes. I have makeup on, so this was stupid to put on over my makeup. But I really like, this was great. I'm like really satisfied, and I learned a lot from this experience. I got one, woo, there she is. Oh, and this one shows up much better on camera. And here is the other guy. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. There he is. Yeah, these ones I like a lot. I'm really satisfied. I love this. I'm so excited to make more. Let me know if you want to see me make some cucumber under eye patches. Here's what I'm thinking. Plastic baggies. But what I'm thinking is take your tray, just put a bit of the gel serum. And also this method, it won't coat the bottom of these under eye patches either, so stack it on top. And this is the issue, is I just don't feel like this is very sanitary, but we could do it anyways. Add a little bit of serum, and again, just stack this on top, more serum. And technically you don't have to stack these, you could package them individually, but then I feel like that's so many plastic baggies you're using. But if you're selling these, you can put them in these bags here. But again, since this formula is so like easily breakable, they break so easily, I wouldn't sell them, this specific formula. But if you experiment with it enough, and you get it to where you can't really break them too easily with your nails. Like obviously if you buy any under eye gel patches, it's gel, you can like break it with your nails, so it's okay if they do break, but not as easily as these ones do. But again, if you want to see me make them again, I'll make them with 1.5 or 2% agar gum, and we'll see if that helps. We'll see how this holds up. Maybe I'll put down in the top pinned comment like how this holds up, because who knows, maybe they don't like being stacked. Maybe the stacking will end up like ruining the gel underneath. I don't know. We'll have to see. We don't know. Again, we'll do this with a few of the soothing oatmeal ones too. And just make sure you keep these flat when you store them. I think storing in the fridge would be okay, or anywhere like cool and dark. Staying at like room temperature should probably also be fine, but I think the fridge will be nice. So put these in the fridge. And again, top pin comment, I'll update you guys on if these end up sticking to each other, if I like this method, if I end up hating the jar method. But if you watch, look at this. They're kind of like free flow. Wait, maybe I can do it on this camera. Look, they move. So you can tell they're not sticking together. I think the gel serum is like really was game changing. That's awesome. But again, with this one, the clear one, you just can't see a dang thing. So I really do hope you guys enjoyed this video. I had so much fun making it. This video is a video I've been wanting to make for over a year now. Honestly, a lot of the videos you are about to see are videos I've been planning for over a year that I've been wanting to do forever, and I just never have been able to do it. I don't know why. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know what under eye patch you want to see me make next. Like, do you want to see like a cucumber under eye gel patch, or do you want me to move on and make something else? But I'd be more than happy to make another one of these if you guys want to, because I learned a lot from making these. You need to make them thicker. You also need to make them harder, which I think we can make them harder by adding in more agar-agar powder. And obviously we can make them thicker by making sure we fill up the molds all the way. And I want to make them a color to make them look prettier. And I think those are all the lessons I learned. But yeah, so that is it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Later. Also, don't forget to go over and check out my Patreon, where I post 2 exclusive videos every single month. So there are a ton of videos you can go over there and binge watch for only $5 a month. And for $10 a month, you can get a small business shout out, or maybe you have a YouTube channel. So let's go ahead and shout everybody out. Nature's Farm Girl, thank you so much. Let's Blend, thank you. HempyGirl.com, Tila'sHoney.com, ShopLevi's.com or ShopLevi's.com. 7th House and Oak on Etsy, at Black Petal Beauty on Instagram, Owl and Lily on Etsy, ZayelaMoore.com, I hope I said that right, EmbraceBeautyEssentials.com, LegendaryBathandBody.com, at Stardust Bath and Body on Instagram, AstariApothecary.com, Revega Cosmetics here on YouTube, XoreBB.com, PardoNaturals.com, NaturalStateSkin.com, TheNatureInUs.ca, and MyCrownAndGlory.com, which is launching soon. Go sign up if you want a shout out, or if you just want bonus content. The shout out tier might be full. It's full pretty often because I only have so much space in the description box to link to everybody.